Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Agents podcast. Back for some more pre-agents today, closing out the Gauntlet 3. Can you believe it? We're at the end of another season. We have got to talk through the final rounds of elimination, the final, which, oh boy, we will talk about it, a reunion, update our Mount Rushmores, season rankings, all the fun things that come with closing out a season of the challenge. Can't wait to get into it all, of course. I am Matt here with, as always, Brian Scally. Scally, what's up?
Ooh, hello. I'm so excited. You know, I love wrapping up a season, going through all of the various little activities we have here, as well as discussing some very interesting endings to seasons, including this one. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, this season, I would say, just to get right into it overall, as you can probably have told from the past couple of episodes that I've been enjoying myself. I would say that carried through for the most part all the way to the end here. I won't spoil all the way as far as how high up I'm considering it for my rankings, but definitely had more fun than last season.
All right. Well, I guess we will see how that goes when we put our minds together later on.
Are you not going to spoil anything at all? I'm just curious, where you're feeling right now.
I enjoyed it more than last season, so it'll be above there.
Okay, good. Very good. So we'll get there, but let's just get right into it because we have so much to get to today. We, of course, leave off where we're still talking about how the vets want to throw all of the women's challenges. They got rid of Coral already, who just left the game, but they still want to get rid of Katie. It's very obvious that they want Katie to go, and they say that they're going to throw even more overtly, even if they, even if they get caught by the women. They're going to do what they have to do, Evan and Kenny specifically, to get rid of Katie. Some of the rookies are down to help Katie out here. Frank specifically, he's like, if you go into the elimination and it's sliders, I'll walk you through it. Him and Johanna are like, Katie will give you whoever you want when it comes to elimination, because they all know that Katie's going to get picked by the vets, so they can pick her opponent basically for her. But it's not looking great for Katie as far as making it to the end here.
Yeah, it's to the point where there is going to only be one more women's elimination. So even if it has to be obvious, we got to get rid of Katie. It seems like all the other women are kind of down with the plan. So not really any fear of retaliation, even on that front. So even Kenny says the way is we have too much dead, fat, ugly, annoying. Which are we specifically only talking about Katie? If so, comes off even way more rude. But it's weird because I feel like Kenny and Katie like do have a pretty good friendship. It's just him being Kenny. So unfortunate for Katie that she falls in the line of fire there.
Cut ahead to the reunion, and Katie's talking about how she's talking about Evan and Kenny basically shitting all over Evan at any possible opportunity, but she kind of likes Kenny. She thinks he's funny enough. So
yeah, I feel like that's kind of a thing where even growing up, I was like, I like Kenny because he's funny, and I don't like Evan at all.
I think that's fair.
Like, I've never liked Evan.
Yeah. Katie really is back to true Katie Doyle form here. I mean, she is especially as we get to her final moments on the season here, and we'll talk about the reunion. We had a couple of seasons where I feel like she was just quieter in the edit. Obviously she makes such a big splash as a character around the time of like her and Veronica feuding, and the last time that it was a whole team trying to get rid of her in a challenge. But in the couple of seasons since then, it's just been a little quieter. They haven't used her as much, but they definitely went back to it, at least at the end of the season here. And while I don't love the results for her, the entertainment was there.
Yeah, I would say that she was probably quieter for the majority of this season, but as she says in the reunion, like, she's always the same person. It's just how much do they show? Because here they have a giant montage of Katie cursing and kicking and screaming and fighting. So it just is how much is ultimately going to make the edit. And it was occasional here, and it's always fun when it does. I'm a Katie Cooley guy, a Katie Cooley Doyle, a Katie Doyle Cooley person.
Yes. Same. Before we get to the challenge, everyone's getting mohawks.
Yes, this is a big celebration. They are all going to be ready to put their game faces on. No like under eye paint or anything. No face paint. We're doing full mohawks for all the guys.
Yeah, and I guess we should be more specific. It's the vet guys, not the rookie guys. The two of them that are left. Some mohawks are being sported into this next challenge. Chill out.
chill out, where they're going to have to basically just jump into a big ice tank, and it's going to be like your team, like you go, now you go, now you go, just for 3 minutes straight. First round, they have to get in, just submerged, get out. Second round, get in, up to your neck for 5 seconds, get out. Next round, 10 seconds, etc., etc.
It's obviously a women's gauntlet day, so the men on the vet team are certainly planning to throw this, and they do very quickly and very easily. CT is the first one to go, and then most of the rest of the vet guys follow CT's lead, with one exception, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, you have CT being the only one who straight up just dips his finger in and says, I'm not doing that, which, fair enough. I feel like if you're going to make it obvious, why are you going to subject yourself to this in the first place? But most other guys start quitting very quickly. Evan hangs on for a minute, but it's only really Danny who sticks around until the very end.
Yeah, Danny sticks all the way to the end with 5 rookies still left on their side. And the rookies are like miserable. This ice water is not fun. And they look to Danny and they're like, so what do you want? Like, why are you still here? Why are you still going? And Danny tries to make a deal saying that if, for the men's elimination day, if he like gives up here and just lets them have the win, as if he was going to beat them, 1 versus 5 still. But he wants to make a deal for his safety. Eventually, that deal wasn't fully accepted. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever. And especially Frank makes a point to say, I never took that deal. But the idea of the deal having existed is going to be a big factor going forward.
Danny definitely proposes it, and like we have every woman but Tori is left in the room, and they're like, sure, down, because on that team is Rachel, is Johanna, is Nehemiah, like members of his cast. You would think that this could be very likely to work out anyway, but Frank immediately says, like, I'm not down for this deal. I don't want to make this deal. Like, let's play it out. So it never gets solidified, and when Danny ends up leaving the room finally because he can't handle it anymore, he is faced with Frank ratting him out to his team that he tried to make a deal to screw them over.
And you kind of get the sense that the rest of these guys on the vet team were waiting for the opportunity to like leave Danny behind.
Yep.
Like Evan talks about, like, nobody ever trusts Danny. Nobody's ever trusted Danny. I think he says at the reunion, like, nobody ever like had a single shit to care about what Danny had to say along the way. So it's very easy for them to hear this and say, oh, great, you're next in.
Yeah, I think it was like Danny was probably the person with the least connections on the team and would have been like more on the outs even than Bananas. It's just that Bananas was seen as someone who was easy to beat by CT. Also, CT didn't like Bananas, so he was pushing for him to go in against Evan. But in general, I think Danny has less connections here than anyone. So not super surprising that they hear any excuse and are ready to jump on, throw Danny in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Danny gets so like it's comically defensive to me. How he's like, no, I didn't do that. I wasn't saying that. It's fine. And like his line of defense is like, I'll go in if I have to. Like if you want me to go in to prove that I don't give a shit. Like he's too cool to have actually been trying to make a deal. So yeah, the way that he handles that did make me chuckle a little bit. And I also. Yeah, I also wanted to point out, just before we get away from the challenge, they had a medic on hand for this ice challenge that basically, if the medic deemed you unfit to continue, even though you were going to be pushing yourself to keep on going, the medic would pull you. And we see them pull at least Robin, which I just thought was interesting, that they're doing something so painful and whatever, like harmful to these people's bodies, the shock that they're just like jumping right into, that a medic has to, be the one to make these decisions for them.
Yep. I feel like this has not happened on other seasons by any means, but you could see with Robin, they're like, she's confused. Like she can't even think. So she's got to go. And it's the first round. She hasn't even gotten to the stay for 5 seconds in.
It did not look fun. I hear about people that say, for I don't know, for health benefits and all that stuff, take cold showers, ice water, all that stuff. I've taken a cold shower too, really didn't like it. But hey,
I've never done a cold plunge. I have swam in like running river water, which is freezing, but I've never done straight up an ice bath.
Maybe someday.
Mhm.
The rookies are going to end up obviously winning this. The vets, fully complete the throw. Danny finishing out the challenge, as we just talked about. Katie knows that she's going to be going into this, as we already talked about. She doesn't want to deal with this deliberation that's about to come up, where people are going to like play to her face about what's going to end up happening. Before we get to that deliberation, the rookies have decisions to make. They're going to protect DM, whatever they said that they would. Doesn't really matter much. And they're going to put Paula into elimination. They are hoping, obviously, that Katie will come out of this victorious to drag down the veterans team in the final, because they're not helping her because they love Katie so much. It's obviously for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
So Paul is the one that's going to have to face her.
Yeah, they tried to give someone that they think Katie can beat, and that ends up being Paula. I feel like I don't know. Is it Paula? Is it DM? Like, I don't know who is exactly best matched up for Katie here, but ultimately they decide on Paula. They're hoping to get sliders in which they'll help Katie as well. But Katie's biggest issue is she hates liars. She hates when people are just gaslighting her to her face. So she just wants to volunteer at this point, because even though, sure, people like Adam, Eric, Robin say they're refusing to vote for Katie, everyone else is being quiet and dodgy.
Yeah. So she knows she's going in. She's not really fighting it, which, I don't know. You could say that's like not typical Katie, but like she just, the writing has been on the walls literally since the beginning of the game, that this was going to happen at some point or another. So it's going to end up being Paula versus Katie in sliders. Or if you zoom out a little bit, we're shown that this is more of Frank versus Adam in sliders, where Frank is coaching Katie and Adam is coaching Paula.
And it is going to be like pretty competitive. Both of them are really good at this, but Adam just nudges out Frank, and so Paula gets the win.
You see Paula ripping pieces off the board. I guess the puzzle was just not well constructed. So Paula's like trying to move the pieces and they were getting stuck. At one point, she had a piece in her hands of the sliders puzzle. So that wasn't supposed to happen. Katie is out here. She's obviously disappointed. She's pissed off at Adam. She's got nothing to say to him. He just helped the other team, or helped Paula, eliminate her. So she's not thrilled with that. She'll get the last laugh to an extent because, spoiler alert, Adam's not going to win the game nor make it to the reunion, I don't think. So
yeah, that's okay.
So she's got that, but Katie is off next season. She won't be joining us on the island. She does have 3 more seasons to go, and they're all within the next 5 seasons. I just don't know how much time we're going to have with her on some of those seasons.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't think we have much time with her.
I want more. I'm desperate.
Well, I have bad news for you.
No.
But Katie's gone from here for now.
Yeah.
And we go back to the house. The vet guys are all giving Danny a bunch of shit for trying to make that deal.
Which, understandable. I feel like at a certain point, they're just giving him shit to give him shit because they're bored. Because, this was always kind of going to be the case anyway if they lost. I think Danny was going in. But Danny's not really doing himself a ton of favors. He is really being like, this never happened. There was no deal. Call Frank in here when Frank was already the one who said there was a deal. So I don't know what Danny's really trying to prove.
Yeah, he says, call Frank in here, turns around, Frank's right there. Frank has been in the room the entire time, and he's going to continue throwing Danny under the bus. Danny is annoyed about all of this. He ends up talking to Nehemiah outside a little later on, talking about how much pressure is on him here. He needs to give Melinda the wedding of her dreams, and he's annoyed that he's in such hot water with all of this, because you've had Derek, who was hooking up with Paula, Frank, who has been making deals with Adam, and Brad, who's been hanging out with Tori all season. So it's like, why am I the only one that's got, anytime that I'm interacting with the other team and, they all did things that were in their benefit with cross team dynamics. Why am I the one getting in trouble for it?
Well, because we don't really like you.
Fair.
So, I think people just never took him seriously. It was Danny likes to think he is a team captain. He's one of the leaders. He's very mouthy. And we've seen that on past seasons, but no one really cares. This was always Evan, Kenny, had their little duo. CT is a much bigger loudmouth than Danny. Brad has way more experience. Eric is friends with Evan and Kenny. Pretty much everyone is better connected.
Yeah. The Austin alliance that was so, spoken about is it was spoken about because it obviously existed to an extent. There's a lot of Austin numbers in the house, or there were, but it didn't do much to really help him in the long run, by
Mm.
any means. Um, we're gonna check in on a little argument happening outside, and surprise, surprise, it has to do with CT loud and yelling in someone's face.
Oh my god, CT's getting in a fight, and it's just randomly CT versus Frank again. Frank is just antagonizing him. He even says, like, I hope CT punches me so he goes home. Uh I never want to get punched by CT, thank you. Um but it looks like Davis took it. I don't think I could. So I think I would be going home if CT punched me.
Yeah, same. They're gonna. It starts as Frank versus CT, but it's gonna get a little bit more amped up when Adam steps in here. And there's like this is so interesting to me because first of all, I'm missing the backstory, right, of Paris.
Mhm.
Like I'm missing what happened on their real world season, like all of that context. But what I do know is what's still to come between Adam and CT. So to see like glimpses of their relationship in a small spot like this, Adam like jumps in, tries to step in to stop CT from hitting Frank and ultimately getting sent home. And CT now is pissed off at Adam.
I mean, you see that CT is going to be an asshole to anyone, but I think especially people he knows. You've seen how when DM tries to calm him down, he's been an asshole to her as well. So I don't think it's super surprising that someone he knows a little better in Adam, who probably has a more complicated history with, when he tries to calm him down because that's someone he knows, that's his teammate, CT goes super nasty. And I think it would have happened to anyone, but he has more to pull on with Adam, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he doesn't hit Adam here, but he does pour a beer over his head.
He's so obnoxious. Yeah. Like I don't blame Adam for what Adam is trying to like get at CT, but like also what's he gonna do? So it's unfortunate. I feel bad. CT's such an asshole. I mean, he's walking around punching a cactus after this, but he's being so rude.
And there's nothing that like the team is going to do at this point. They're not going to be
Nope.
like, oh, CT has to go next before the final. Of course they want him there in the final, but you have Kenny talking about like CT sucks. He's antagonizing Adam, and they see Adam as a valuable piece. He just,
Yeah.
coached Paula through that puzzle. They think Adam is going to be a really big help for them in the final. But he is a jerk, and even DM, who by the way is like barely on the season. But
Yep.
for like episode 1 and episode 9 here is like, yeah, I really am worried about CT, and how everybody else is like seeing him. Well, that's been all season. So
It's
he says to her, I want to get angry, I want to hurt people, he
yep.
says.
Yep, that's CT. We are entering like a very dark stage for CT, and I feel like it's only going to get darker. But he is uncontrollable, as Adam says. Like, even though no one likes him, there's not a single person that gets along with him here. He is insufferable, but because of his size, he can do whatever he wants,
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate.
his intimidation factor, all that stuff.
Yep.
Adam tries to make a deal with Frank. We've seen a lot of deals between these two throughout the season. That he says if they throw the gauntlet tomorrow, then Adam will try to throw in CT, and I guess then that's beneficial to Frank to not have CT in the final. But
Yeah.
that was never going to work anyway, so it doesn't happen, and whatever. But let's get to well balanced. The next challenge.
Well balanced. We have two little circular platforms in which each team has to jump on. They're only really connected by the middle, so everything else is floating. You have to balance out all of your team members for 10 seconds on this platform, and the first to do this 2 times wins. Going to be very difficult for the vets with how many players they have.
Oh yeah. I mean, my first thought was, why the hell aren't you all sitting down? Like
Ooh.
control your body weight a little bit more. Like not to be the like, oh, I have the best ideas, because I never do. Never think about like the best strategy in a challenge, but immediately they were like struggling on their feet like a bunch of giraffe. I'm like, just sit down and try that. Didn't seem
Yeah,
like they
well, that's
did.
fair. I think that if you
Yeah.
stabilize like a lot of your team members and then have a very few working around that, it probably becomes a lot easier. But they tried literally everything, it looked like.
Two worthwhile no, that's not the right word. Two interesting lines from Kenny here. First of all, he reminds us that he's the only male challenge champion here,
True.
which has nothing to do with the challenge, but this is when they tell us about that, or when he
On the
tells
whole
us
season.
um on the whole season left, or in
Was there
general.
one? Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right, because MJ showed up.
Yeah, right. We all remember MJ's championship.
Yes.
But then he is talking about why his team is struggling, and he says that they have DM on their team who looks like she hasn't eaten in 12 days, and Big Easy who looks like he's eaten 12 people in the past 12 days.
Yeah. Great.
I feel like that line probably really hit for a 2000 and whatever audience. 2008.
Easy's not that big. Like, there's so many times where I look at him and I'm like, you're not as big as they try to tell us you are all the time.
No, I mean, we haven't, we know what we're about to get to in the next episode.
Yep.
Legend would have it that Big Easy is 400 pounds. That is not the case. Turn on the episode and look at Big Easy. I mean, he doesn't look like Kenny, but he's not 400 pounds.
No.
Anyway, so the vets are having a pretty hard time with this, as you mentioned. Too many people, too many voices. Ultimately, the rookies get this done in 2 separate heats, and they're going to win. The women win a T-Mobile Sidekick 3.
Ooh, look at that. I feel like the sidekick is such a staple of the challenge, so glad to see it pop up here.
Yeah. Nehemiah and Frank are relieved, obviously, that they're both going to make it to the final, which they think is very necessary for their team. Going to have the men there. And then for the vets, it's the first vet male elimination since Bananas got sent home.
Yeah, look at that. I'm thrilled about it, honestly. I wanted to see these guys squirm more. I feel like they were very, very comfortable. A lot of them are very close, and I wish there were many more eliminations this season, is something I'll say about it.
Yeah. The rookies are going to protect Big Easy. Nehemiah says that Eric is obviously he's the fattest and slowest person on their team. So
there we go.
There's the reason for protecting Easy. And they're going to put Adam into elimination. Again, we just saw Adam, with the sliders. Like there is a threat level there, even if it's like, for all of what we know about challenge history, that maybe some of these other guys are bigger threats long term. They're going to put Adam in.
Not without controversy, because Frank is like, please, we have to throw in CT. They don't think that's any worth it at all because Danny's never beating CT in terms of the women on the team specifically. And then please don't throw in Adam. I made a deal. They're like, well, we didn't, so who cares? He's agile. He's good at puzzles. That's things that no other man on the other team has. So we need to weaken them in a way as possible. He's a one of a kind. And so if we can eliminate an entire strength from their team, then we should take the shot.
Yeah, this rookie team doesn't get as much highlight, obviously, because the vets team is all chaos right now. But anytime that we've really seen them throughout this season, they've been at each other's throats, especially your Frank versus Tori. That's been happening. And we get to the reunion later on, and it's like, so Frank, what do you think about Tori? And he's like, we don't hate each other that much. We disagreed out there for sure. And you saw every moment of that. But it sounds like they didn't actually come away enemies.
It's funny because Frank is like, I'm so pissed off. And Tori's like, yeah, because you can't manipulate us, Frank. Okay. I don't know. There's a lot of confessionals of Frank saying he hates Tori. I think that it just became a non-issue once they had to stop interacting.
I was going to say between that and the fact that ultimately worked out for them in the end, they walked away with the money. I think that they end up just being like, you know what, it's fine. Let's leave it in the past. But in the moment, they certainly were not the best of friends. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, you have Danny and Adam arguing on the sidelines on the vet side of things. Danny is going to be the one that ends up having to go into this elimination. So these two can duke it out in a ball brawl. But was there anything in this deliberation? No, it's just everybody is only going to say Danny's name here.
Everyone's immediately quiet again, and then someone's like, well, I'll vote for Danny. Well, I'll vote for Danny. He's like, all right, fine, I'll go in. He doesn't want to deal with the drama of it all because it's only going to piss him off, which I don't know, Danny, maybe you can get a little more pissed off before this elimination.
Wouldn't have hurt. I mean, we go into this elimination again, it's ball brawl, the first ball brawl for the men here. It's been the women's every elimination more or less, but it's Danny versus Adam, and I'm like, oh well, Danny's about to destroy Adam, but this must be the Danny that you've been talking about, of one of the worst challenge performers of all time.
Yeah, when we go in here, it is Adam rushing to the ball and on almost every point, just juking Danny and getting across the line with no problem at all. Even if Danny does catch Adam, he still manages to pull Danny over the line. And Adam's a lot smaller than Danny. like a lot smaller.
I mean, this is Adam Kaczynski. I'm dubbing him here. I didn't know that existed.
Unfamiliar with
Truly.
his game.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really when I think of Adam, I think of a pretty significant moment that's obviously coming up whenever it comes up in a couple seasons. But I don't think much about his competitiveness. I just don't remember much of it. But this was a pretty good showing. He beats
Yeah,
Danny handily.
he's pretty good. There's something else, I guess outside the show that I think of with Adam that we'll get to. But so I'm not a huge fan, but he is good competitively. That's no doubt. I do have to say, is there any guy on the Vets team you think Danny could have beaten?
Danny could have beaten. Well, could he have beaten Big Easy? I know, like, so the thing about Big Easy and, what we're about to get to, they talk a lot about how he would have been so hard to beat in any of these eliminations. Most of them are physical, the puzzle withstanding.
Yeah.
But in one like this, where like agility obviously comes into play, and that's where Adam, even though he doesn't have size on Danny, still is able to pull out the win. I feel like he could have won that, but obviously Eric wasn't.
I think there's a chance. Is there any guy that Adam could not beat?
That Adam could not beat? I mean, yeah, I don't know. He might.
Who's the best matchup for Adam?
Wait, the best matchup?
Yeah, like who do you think has the better, like, which guys have good chances of beating Adam?
Beating Adam. Well, probably CT.
I think CT is a decent call. I think CT is very fast for how big he is.
Probably Evan.
Evan is the other call I have. Yeah, I think Evan is
and
very
maybe
fast.
Brad. I don't know.
I think Brad is a possibility, but I think that I might be betting Adam.
Yeah, I mean, after that showing, can't blame you. But Danny's gone here. He's got 3 more seasons to go. He's not on the next 2 seasons, but we talked about they thought this might be their new it guy. Not for the next 3 seasons. He's not here.
Nope. Got to focus on getting Melinda that wedding and house, apparently.
Yeah. Yep. Rachel is sad to see Danny go. Obviously, again, some of these Austin people are still pretty close, but he's out, he's gone, and we're moving along to the final. A lot of vets out here that are really looking to get their first win. You got Evan, you got Brad, you got Robin, people that are really looking to secure a W.
So many. I mean, it's literally everyone but like Evelyn and Kenny. There's a lot of people. It's a lot of people.
Yeah. But as they point out, the team as a whole has one I think Evan says huge problem. Big Easy, Eric. They have a team meeting before the final, like the night before. And you can really tell exactly what is going on. Everyone here is worried about Eric. Everyone feels like there's a chance that Eric is going to give up. He's going to quit, and he has to do everything he can to assure them that is not happening. He says, any of your fears about me quitting, get them out right now. They'll have to pull me off with the stretcher, and the paramedics are going to get punched in the face if they try to get me out of there.
Yeah. We find out in the reunion that Eric says that he's running 10-minute miles, which I'm not confident in. He says that he a 10-minute mile singular maybe, but it feels shitty for Eric to predict his outcome, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just like, they're all using the easy narrative of just like his size, but you also see him with a beer in his hand just about every scene for the most part. And that's something that they're pointing out as well, but he's assuring them that he's good, he's fine. So the big story going into the final here is, will he be okay? And for the rookies, the big story is, will they be okay, because they can't get along half the time. But before we get to the final, a couple more haircuts, or at least one more haircut. CT's going to shave his head.
Gets a shaved head from DM, leaves a little rat tail. Yuck.
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Yuck.
He thought that shaving his hair would shed the person that he's become in this house.
Which I'm glad that he acknowledges he's become a shitty person in this house. I don't know if it's become in this house, but at least that he's been a shitty person in this house.
Well, let's see how shitty CT can be in the final here, because it is quite the back and forth. Are we ready for the final? It's Army Strong.
Let's do the final. Yeah, seems to be sponsored by the Army. It's going to be starting on a yacht. We're going to have to swim half a mile into shore. And then they're going to be running a series of checkpoints, all while chained together.
We have alluded to this final a couple of times throughout the coverage we've done so far. I think I just want to make it very clear, especially if anybody like hasn't watched the challenge before, if anybody out there is watching along with us for the first time or whatever, just like how memorable this final is. And honestly, I don't know. I don't have the ranking off the top of my head. Maybe like the number one most memorable final of all time for what's about to happen.
It's up there. Yeah. I remember details differently, but it is something that sticks with you. Unfortunately, I think it's something that they revisit a lot. They will talk about a lot. Uh, Big Easy going down in the final is not something the show or the people on the show let you forget.
Big Easy obviously comes back for All Stars, and I think we were sitting there being like, are they going to give this man a chance to like, just be himself to this day, or is it just we're always going to go back to the clip of him going down in the final, and he'll never outlive it.
Nope, 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 nope. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. What I did not remember here is just how much Easy is struggling from the absolute jump.
Yeah. So before they get going, sorry if you said this already, but they say that the teams all have to cross the finish line together. TJ makes that very clear. And, if you're following,
No man left behind.
Right. If you're reading the edit, why are they telling us this so seriously at the beginning of the final, making sure we're getting confessionals about everybody must be there. They get going. They jump off the boat, swimming across, a significant portion of water to get to shore. Big Easy already struggling with that. He's later going to talk at the reunion about how his life vest was too small for him, which is similar to what he was dealing with earlier in the season as well. He had the same issue.
Like, I don't understand how they can't solve this, especially when they already ran across the issue earlier in the season. Like, maybe then we should be figuring out how we solve this by the final.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really frustrating. It is him struggling in the water very quickly, and CT is pulling him, pushing him, screaming at him, "You quitter! I will drown you if you don't hit this beach." CT is immediately on him.
Cut ahead to they're on the beach. Big Easy catching his breath, Evan yelling at CT, and CT telling Evan to stop yelling at him and making things worse. You have to encourage him.
Yeah, which I was...
He just threatened to drown him 5 minutes ago.
It was very interesting. I feel like CT was very much I can threaten him, you can't. I don't know why that was exactly, but Eric is out of it at this moment. When he hits the beach and like does a small run to go get their shoes, he is sitting there like staring at the stars. He's like waiting for someone to put his shoes on because he can't do it himself yet.
He's fully at this point unrecoverable. Like there's no chance at this point of him catching his breath fast enough to get going again. I mean, what, like, I guess you could say if the team gave him 5 minutes to relax and maybe catch his breath, then maybe. But there's so much happening here between his physical ability to move forward after such an exhausting swim and the overwhelming, I would have to guess, like anxiety attack that probably hit him with every single person on his team pouring down insults at him, like army type commands at him, like, let's go, you can't quit, you said you weren't gonna quit. Not even for a second does he have any encouragement besides one person, Brad, who is as supportive as he possibly can be. But throughout this challenge, we're going to end up seeing that they are chained together, which is the biggest factor in all of this. It's not just, oh, you have to cross the finish line with everybody. You're all chained together. And so when Big Easy can't run at the pace that Evelyn and Evan and Kenny and CT want to run, he is dragging them all back. They're all getting progressively angrier and angrier. And it's just causing this, again, like, unfortunately unforgettable TV moment for this team, but it's just so damn brutal.
Easy says that physically he feels like his body is okay, but his mind is just not there. I don't know how much Easy remembers from this, honestly. I feel like very quickly he is completely out of it, and they just don't give him the chance to recover. I will say, by like 2000s standards, I think I remember why I liked Brad more back then, and like might be a Brad stan now. The fact that he's like standing up for Big Easy. I'm thinking back to when he was standing up for Anissa against Robin in the past. I feel like Brad has been good guy Brad for quite a few times at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was rolling my eyes when he still went back to Robin, to be all chummy after all of that. But I obviously take the
or
point.
2000 standards.
Yes, yes,
He's
yes, yes,
killing it.
yes. Yeah, no, he's the only one that is like even slightly supportive of Big Easy, and CT's getting in Brad's face, screaming at
Yep.
him because Brad is standing up for Easy, and Brad is like, this man's life, his health is on the line here. He is unable to move forward. He can't do this. And I understand there's a lot of money, but like, what are we supposed to do? And we're going to get to this point where, by the way, there's checkpoints along the way. Chill Out, which is a recreation of the ice challenge, the ice water. Screw You is a recreation of a challenge where they had to unscrew a metal piece. And the rookies are like moving along just fine throughout all of this. They have a little bit of a hiccup on the Screw You portion, but they're moving along, and the vets are keeping up decently well with them despite
Yeah.
this. Like, they are maintaining a decent enough pace that they're like in the same camera shots at points. But when Easy eventually goes down and the vets are like, well, we'll carry him, we'll carry this guy, it's just, we have lost the plot and it's not happening.
Checkpoint one that they're like, he's throwing up, like he's running and throwing up. And you hear someone say, let him choke on his own vomit, which I don't know if that was someone saying, fuck it, I don't care, or if it was Brad out of frustration being like, oh yeah, like let him do this, like that's how you guys are acting type thing. But like it has gotten to a really bad point on checkpoint one already. It's not till almost checkpoint three that Easy goes down.
I also want to point out, just before I forget this thought, that like the entire season, like we're going to talk about the poetic justice of all of this for some of these douchebag guys on this team. Just the fact that they lose the challenge here in general. But the fact that they spent the whole season, all the women are going to be so weak. The women suck. And they completely ignore one of their buddies, Big Easy. And again, Evan's going to talk later about like, well, none of us would have wanted to go in against him because he would have just sent us home. That doesn't like, as far as we could tell, it was never truly something that you were even considering. You were just so focused on getting Coral and Katie out and Beth that you got to this point knowing you were going to run a final. They know what the finals look like these days. They watched, Wes and Jody just win a couple seasons. Like they've gotten more physical or more intense as the years have gone on, rather than just like a couple of puzzle stations. And so they brought Easy there, and they just took his word that he was going to make it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's super tough, and they do not react well to being wrong when Eric starts on this downhill that I can picture so clearly in my mind, just swaying. He's about to fall. He's gonna like hit his head, and it is everyone standing around him like, pick him up, let's figure this out. Like, what do? We can't pick him up, how dare you? Like, everyone is screaming, everyone is yelling. It is not good. Like, you even have Evelyn who's like, clearly he's not okay, but then later screaming about how he's cost them $30,000. So it is a mess.
Yeah, his eyes are rolled to the back of his head. The medics pull up. They're giving him oxygen. Again, Brad's the only rational one here, justifying or telling everybody to like chill the hell out. Like, this man is clearly not doing well.
It's his life.
Mind you, a little bit of comedy at the same time. Some of the team are just like losing it. Robin is crying because she doesn't want them to quit. And Kenny's yelling at Robin for crying. Robin's like, I'm not crying. CT's like, she's a girl, let her cry. A comedy of disaster here. But eventually Easy is taken by the medics out of the game. We know at this point that TJ said everybody has to cross the finish line. And Big Easy is clearly not with them and is clearly not going to cross the finish line, but the team does go and finish the final. Just to cut right ahead, spoiler alert, they finished the final first.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think you have this interesting juxtaposition where the ref is standing there while Eric is on the ground and is like, guys, like, do you want to worry about the game right now, or do you want to worry about your friend? And they all immediately are like, he's costing us $30,000. Like, none of them care about him. It's crazy. And yet then they get to the end and they still win. And there is this realization where it even gets spoken out. And it gets spoken out. And I think it's been a lot of talk online. If they had just walked, would Eric have finished this? Would they have won? And was it really like their own greed, selfishness, and like ego that cost them the final? That Eric could have finished this if they had just gone slow and steady?
I mean, there's a really good argument that the answer is yes, right? Because once they do catch up, and granted, they do run again once Eric is no longer attached to them. But they catch up. There's a couple more checkpoints that they keep a good pace. And the final checkpoint is I Dig You, where they have to dig really deep into the sand to dig a chest out with the flag inside that they have to raise. And whoever raises it first, theoretically, is the winning team. You see the rookies struggle at that point. Like they've gotten there and they've done everything to get to the final checkpoint. But they're making, what is it? Like Evan at the reunion is making fun of the whole team because Frank is the one who did all the work to get the chest out, while a lot of the other ones, I guess he's specifically calling out the women, were just laying on the beach. They were tired. Nehemiah as well. So Frank is single-handedly getting the credit for having pulled the chest out. But the vets at that point, look, they had a lot of time to catch their breath. Let's point that out as well. And then they run all the way to the end. They get the chest out with more people digging and more people working for it and fighting for it at the end. They get the flag up first. And I just I need to know, did they think that they won? Like, did they actually, they raised the flag and they finish it. They're like, we're going to finish for Big Easy. Like, how much of that was just for show and how much of it was like genuinely, I'm sure they were hoping that TJ was going to say, yeah, you won.
Well, do you think if someone gets medically disqualified that is different than like, oh, you just left someone behind and they quit?
I mean, if that's the case, then why don't you just like push Easy off the mountain and, when he tumbles down to the bottom and you have to, medevac him. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. Because maybe there should have been a penalty along the way. Like if a player drops out, then you have to wait 15 minutes before you can move on.
It's tough. I mean, like you can say, like, does Eric then share in the prize pot? Like, how does this get affected? But it is, I think, a discussion that was had for a long time of this was a medical disqualification. They could not help it. Is it fair? And I think the show probably didn't really consider all that much what would happen in this case. And so by the wording that they set up for themselves, this is just what has to happen. And so that gives a really anticlimactic finish where the rookies are just taking naps because they could get this done in 3 days and it doesn't matter. It'll still be before the vets can ever finish.
Yep. When the vets finish, and TJ doesn't blow the horn, obviously something is up here. TJ tells them the number one rule was teamwork and you left someone behind. So they're pissed off and eventually the rookies get the crate out. They get the flag up and the rookies are our winners. We have Frank, Jillian, Johanna, Nehemiah, Rachel, and Tori. So all fresh new challenge champions, while these vets who have been really hungry to get the win for a lot of them do not come out victorious. And it's all because of Big Easy. They're pissed at him. They're disappointed in him. He lost them all the money. Robin's pointing, Robin and the rest of the women probably are all pointing fingers at the guys because, you made it such a big deal about the women and none of you wanted to go against Easy. So here we are. And here's what happened.
Yeah, it was a huge discussion topic from the first time that the guys had to go in. You had Evan was going in. We can't possibly risk Evan by throwing in Easy. And I guess fair, but then maybe we should have thrown a different challenge. Like, I don't know what the solution really was.
When we get to the reunion and we're talking to Eric about all of this, what do you think of his perspective on everything with some time having passed and basically a lot less friends in his life?
It's unfortunate. I mean, I don't think it's super surprising that, I don't think all of these people were super close outside of the show generally anyway. I think that things can recover, but it was still fresh. I think I'm glad that Eric is taking it okay because there's not really much of an option. And it's like, I don't know. It's not his fault.
Yeah. Yeah. The Evelyn points out at this segment in the reunion that she respects that what happened, it sucks that it happened or whatever. But where she got pissed off was that later that night at the wrap party for the season, Big Easy was up on his feet and drinking along with the rookies who just won the challenge that he lost for them.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's really smart, and so I get that. I don't know, she's not a doctor, but I'm gonna trust if they cleared him to be out of the hospital, he's clear. Did we not see what was going on? I don't know.
Yeah.
It definitely is a weird look to go straight to partying. But I can't say I'm all that surprised.
No, but this is very like I said, like we said, infamous final, truly impossible to forget. Just when we got to the season and it like clicked for me, I was like, oh, this is that season with that final. Oh boy.
Mhm.
And exactly like you said as well, with the scene of them like running down that alleyway or whatever, it's just imprinted in every challenge fan's brain, I think. So
Yep.
that's that. But let's talk about the reunion, if that's where we are
Ooh.
here and at, which is called Trim the Fat, the Gauntlet 3.
Mm.
What a title.
What a
Um,
title.
hosted by Lindsay Rodriguez. I don't know this person.
I don't remember Lindsay all that well, I will admit.
They're also sitting on some very uncomfortable looking stumps.
Mm.
All of the challengers. I'm like, I don't know how long this filming day was, but they don't look comfortable.
I always think that about reality TV. I could never do it because I could never sit in their horrible seats.
I mean, that's yes, one of the many reasons for me as well. We have from the rookies team all of the winning players. The only person that I was like maybe should have been there, Ryan Kehoe, who's like, scrappy all the way to the end with their team, but you can't have all the rookies there, so they just have none of them
Fair
besides the winners. And on the vet side, kind of interesting show of attendance. We have Evan, Kenny, Paula, Easy, Evelyn, Katie, Brad, and Coral. Notably, no CT and DM.
No CT and DM. Yep. Just I don't know if they weren't invited, didn't come. No Adam, right?
No Adam, no Robin, I don't think.
Yep.
And then some of the other names that went out earlier. You don't have Casey, you don't have Beth, Bananas. Obviously, I mean, Bananas is not at the point where you just get invited to a reunion, even if you go out early.
Yeah.
So, but
No
no
Danny.
Danny. Yeah, no Danny. CT and DM though, the only thing that we really hear is they are done. We get
They
a couple
are,
updates.
yeah, all caps done is how
Yeah.
it seems.
Crazy.
Which,
I mean,
fair enough.
they're not, plenty more to come between CT and DM on the challenge, but as of right now, they are done. And we're gonna check in with a lot of the couples and hookups from this season. Where should we start?
Let's talk about some of the quick hits. I would say we got Frank and Jillian still together. I mean, it doesn't last long term, but nice that they stuck together for a little bit.
They've moved in together, as have Tori and Brad. So obviously they formed a connection out there. Although Brad and Tori aren't all the way moved in together. It sounds like Tori's kind of in and out of Brad's place, but they are very much together.
Yeah, it feels like she's probably there a majority of the time, but like still traveling back home to handle business whenever. But yeah.
Danny and Melinda still together. Johanna's going to be the one that comments on all of this because Melinda's not here. But the idea of like Johanna having betrayed Melinda obviously comes up, and everyone's like, yeah, she didn't do anything wrong. Melinda just like misunderstood the situation.
It's super interesting because the way that she comments about it is she's like, Melinda was my friend. Melinda was my really good friend. So it sounds like she's not really good friends with her anymore, which is
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what it's giving.
They were such a duo. I'm sad.
Some couples that are not together, some hookups, as in Bananas and Casey, Paula and Derek, haven't made it long term here. But bigger news, we'll actually start with the smaller news. Evelyn and Brooke did not make it. I know we're all shocked.
Oh, tragic. But apparently there's a rumor that Brooke was dating Evelyn's ex-girlfriend.
Crazy. And Coral is commenting on all over this, like she did when Brooke left the game, and she was like, I don't think Brooke's even a real lesbian. Coral's like, well, everyone's coming after me. Meanwhile, like, where's Brooke? It's obviously over.
I have an update
on Brooke.
I looked up Brooke's social media. Brooke is modern day in a relationship with a woman.
Look at that.
Right? So yeah. Look at
Coral.
Brooke.
I have bad news for you.
The one time Coral was wrong.
But the biggest news of all with all of these updates has to do with a person, at least to me, this is the biggest one. Someone who's not here. Johanna and Wes no longer together.
Crazy. There's a really funny line where Johanna's like, Kenny's just jealous now that I'm single, I won't hook up with him. And I was like, let's put a pin in that. But yeah, Johanna and Wes broken up. Big news.
Well, Kenny's the one that's been getting the anti-Wes comments, which is so funny that Bananas basically just steals this bit from Kenny as the years go on, and he's going to make fun of Wes because Kenny now, like twice this season, he's like, the joke he makes here is that Johanna finally got electricity in the house, so she sees what Wes looks like with the lights on. Like, I heard Bananas saying that, and I was like, this is just a copy of what we're going to get.
There's a lot of things that Bananas really benefits from Kenny and Evan leaving the show. He really just picks up their place in many ways.
Absolutely. And speaking of Evan and Kenny, the host, Lindsay, here is going to make fun of the two of them because neither of them found love on the challenge. And then they use this as an opportunity to be dickheads to all of the women and say, oh, we don't want to date these B-rate chicks. To which they're like, we don't want to date you either. Like, assholes.
Yeah, it's constant like, haha, Kenny and Evan, you're not hooking up with anyone on TV. Like, okay, I feel like this is not the first time this has been a thing either.
I mean, Kenny's still out here in every confessional being like, everyone wants to make out with me. The cameraman, this person, that person, they're all trying to make out with me. It's so hard being me. But like, yes, for 2 seasons now, right? Or actually, no, I think I'm just thinking of this season, the beginning of it, where they were like, it's just Evan and Kenny hanging out because no one's with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Evan also clarifies a little bit more. He says that he really didn't ask for Johnny Bananas in that elimination. He says that he just wanted someone that they thought he could beat, but CT was the one that was really pushing for Johnny to go in. But apparently outside of the show, he's not here, but Bananas is still upset with Evan.
Well, we'll see if the Evan and Bananas relationship can ever recover.
Right. Well, maybe. Frank is talked about a little bit. We already talked about like the Frank and Tori that like maybe actually isn't that bad, especially now. But the rookies, Rachel is the one asked about. Do you feel like Frank backstabbed your team? Do you feel like Frank was a horrible team member? She's like, no, we're good. He's fine.
Yeah. The rookie team's all good. They won. So what do they have to complain about?
Literally nothing. Katie gets a lot of highlight in this reunion. You mentioned the highlight reel that she gets. And we know the story of how this all went. The team just went after her. They didn't want her there. But Coral says Katie's real. You always know where she's coming from. Unlike Evelyn, Katie's real.
Yeah, the Coral and Evelyn beef is alive and well.
It is the biggest storyline of this reunion by far.
Easy.
Every time that we turn to Coral, she's like, well, Evelyn fucking sucks and she has no guts and she's the worst and she is untrustworthy, which I think is very interesting. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but we know that we're like entering the era of Evelyn. And this feels a little to me like a bigger version of remember when like and I'm not saying we're replacing Coral on the Mount Rushmore, please, but remember when we were like, oh, Mark Long is replaced with Derek because he kind of like handed off the baton to him. Coral's kind of like because Coral's not going to come back, and this beef with Evelyn, who's about to become one of the biggest female faces of the franchise, was a little bit of like the something like that.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if it's like consciously that or even subconsciously that. I think for Coral, as she says, like Evelyn sided with the guys and really threw every single woman on the cast under the bus, which Coral is very much not a fan of. So I think it probably is in large part that, as she said, she didn't really have a big problem with Evelyn until she watched the show. And Evelyn, Casey, DM, like so many women were just talking shit about Coral in a way that I don't understand to this day.
And neither did she. She wanted nothing to do with it. She wanted to call them out on it. At one point, Evelyn said that Coral wants to play the victim, and Coral like gets up and says she's no victim. And we're not doing that. We're not playing that narrative.
Yeah, something I would never call Coral.
No. Coral is also, we talk about the Coral and Beth elimination. Basically, that just happened because people wanted to see the epic showdown.
Which I think should happen more. People should make good TV for me more often.
I feel like that's happened occasionally in recent seasons. Just like from time to time that people are like, oh, let's make this elimination happen. Like it's going to be good. And I mean, I would say that they weren't like totally wrong, that like the idea of that matchup is good, but then like we lost one of those two big characters. And so I wasn't happy, but
they say it was the best female elimination of all time.
I'll have to check our records.
I know. I need to go through. I don't know. I haven't checked the game tape.
A lot of Katie and Coral versus the guys, specifically Evan and Kenny, because they were obviously the ones that were put on the outs of all of that. So they had some stuff to say that, they were talking about why didn't you throw the challenges on the men's day? And they were like, well, we play by the rules. We're no punks.
I loved Katie being like, well, actually, I've won a challenge and you haven't, Evan. So
I mean... Like, what can you say to that? She said I think she didn't even, I don't know. Did she even say that she won? She said she's gotten to the final twice and Evan still waiting on his win. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Coral telling Evelyn that her siding with the guys is turncoat, bad for chicks, giving her a bad name. Just a lot of beef between these two throughout all of this. Evelyn was talking
Mhm.
about how she doesn't really care about anybody there because she doesn't talk to anyone outside of the shows, which I thought was interesting.
Definitely something to track.
Coral and Evan beefing about, obviously we saw that friendship kind of fell apart, whatever friendship was there. Coral's like, yeah, it's a game show, do what you got to do to win, but you can be honest with your friends, dick.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of always been her thing. Is for Coral, she showed up and she played with her friends and she was real with her friends, and she expected the same back.
Mm-hmm. Any of the bonus clips catch your attention? Well, there's one.
There's the Eric and Rachel hookup I was not privy to.
That's one. What about the shower?
Yeah, so was that what, Tyler, Ryan, and Paula? Who was that?
I believe that was Tyler, Ryan, and Paula.
Good for them.
At first, I thought it was, who did I think it was? I think I thought it was Bananas. I don't know. I was just like
Okay,
pausing
interesting.
the screen, trying to identify like based on like their body shapes, because it was just like an outside shot of the camera of like Evan and someone walking in the room into the shower to see two men and a woman in the shower. And I couldn't figure it out. But eventually we go to Paula at the reunion and they're like, oh, Paula, you made out with all the gay guys. And she's like, yeah, you saw that shower scene. Once it started getting a little hot and heavy, I had to leave.
It feels like a Paula move.
That was just wild. Why isn't that talked about? So we got the other threesome, but I guess that didn't go all the way.
Yeah, I don't think this was I don't think it qualifies.
Maybe it doesn't qualify. Fair enough. And what else? The Casey Cooper confessionals making fun of Coral get talked about as well. Because I think Casey called Coral fat at some point, and Coral's like standing up, like pulling her boobs out a little bit, and like just showing off her physique. And she's like, where, Casey? Like, and then a weird moment with her and Kenny there, where Kenny is like hoping that Coral's gonna flash him.
Coral does look tiny in this reunion.
Yes.
I was very surprised.
Yeah. Sounds like they all had a very fun challenge here, though. A lot of fun stories coming out of all of this. Obviously, not the result that the vets wanted, but pretty memorable, nonetheless. And then we get a sneak peek of the real world Hollywood.
The Real World Hollywood gets like 3 sneak peeks in like between this, the reunion, the finale, etc. Big season. Maybe we'll get to it one day.
That would be nice, even though I looked at the cast list and I said, not a lot of challenge standouts here.
Not a lot of standouts, but like in terms of long term, but some of them have some brief success.
Yeah. Anything else from the reunion or from the final or?
No, I'm good to move on to our segments.
All right. Well, our first segment is the one where I tell you and everybody out there when we're going to see these people next. We have the rookie team here. Tori Hall made her debut. She will not be here next season, but then she'll be back. Johanna will be back next season and 2 of the next 3 seasons, but then she's done. Rachel never comes back.
Yeah, look at that. That's okay.
Yeah. Neither does Frank. Frank, a big part of this season, champion here, but Frank will never return.
Little more sad about that one, personally.
You mentioned, right, that Frank is like very successful. Is that Frank that I'm thinking? Yeah. So yes. He doesn't need the challenge, but
no, but I like Frank. So it's unfortunate.
I like Frank. I think he had a pretty good season here, obviously, and we'll see if we're about to talk about him a little bit more. Jillian is going to come back one more time. I believe that's fresh meat. So yeah, 4 seasons from now. Nehemiah is off next season, and then he'll be back. Over on the vet side, Paula is back next season for her 4th season in a row. Look at her go. Evelyn is back next season. DM is not back next season, but then she'll be back for 2. Again, very quiet from her. Robin is back for the next 2 seasons before she takes a 3-season break. I still am wondering, what's the point? What are we doing? Why is she here so much? Like, I don't get it.
We'll see.
Big Easy is off next season, and then he'll be back. I mean, fair enough. I don't know if I'd be signing right back up to do this again so fast. Kenny is back next season. Evan is not. Evan will be off next season, and then he'll be back for 2 more. But him and Kenny, whenever they don't line up, I find that interesting.
It is funny. You always think of them as a glued duo.
Yeah, they at least to this point, counting next season, I think we'll have missed 2 seasons not being on the same one together. And then CT, Brad, and Adam are all not with us next season. But of course, we'll all be back.
Gotcha.
So that's the deal. And what is going on the confessional chart? We close out the season with Frank on top, 65 confessionals, followed
Damn,
by
Frank.
Evan, Ryan Kehoe in third.
Ryan Kehoe.
Oh my God. Put him on the Mount Rushmore. What are we doing?
We'll see. We'll see.
Nehemiah, Tori, Jillian, Adam, all at the top there. And as far as the finalists are concerned, how many times have I said DM's not on the season? She's at the bottom of the people that made it to the end with only 16 confessionals, which are below Beth, below Melinda, below Casey, below Derek McCrae, below Coral. So really not a lot from DM here. Robin is lower. Eric is lower, even though, we know that he's a big part of the final there. Anything else catch your eye here?
No, I think it's interesting. I think like Johanna's like pretty low for someone you think of as a pretty big character and a winner, but it's all it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Let's talk about the season ranking. Where do we think that we're going to place this? Right now we have all 14 of the first 14 seasons ranked. And I already told you that I did not hate the season. I liked it.
I did not hate it either. I would say, as I said before, I enjoyed it more than last season for sure.
So for me, I'm looking at top half. I know, sorry to the audience that we're looking at our list. You're not, but audio podcast. I'm looking at the top half of our list in some capacity. I'm just not sure how high up.
I am looking lower than the top half.
Lower than the top half. Oh.
Yeah, honestly, I would consider for anyone who's listening along at home and may not have it memorized, we have in order the Inferno 2, the Duel, Battle of the Sexes, Gauntlet 2, Fresh Meat, Challenge 2000, Road Rules All Stars, Battle of the Seasons, Battle of the Sexes 2, Real World Road Rules Challenge, Inferno 3, Extreme Challenge, and the Gauntlet in last place. I'm looking. It's hard. I think I would rather watch Battle of the Seasons than this.
Wow. Okay. We have to meet somewhere in the middle with all of this because I was going to go above the Gauntlet too.
Wow. I'm not even close to there.
Well, obviously. So let me, look further down the list. I guess again, we're both going to have to, go a little further in the middle. So if I'm not even considering, I guess let me jump over the Gauntlet too and say, Fresh Meat. I see the appeal of Fresh Meat. But I'm trying to think what are the points in this season that I really liked so much that I am trying to pitch you on. All of the hookups on night one were fun. And some of those carry on throughout the season. I feel like it's a lot of our mainstay characters, especially in this current era. And there's just a decent amount of drama with all of them. Bananas goes home early. That's not a bad thing. The rookie drama was interesting enough, kept me invested along the way. Obviously I didn't like the vet guys versus Coral and Katie. That wasn't my favorite storyline to watch along the way, but it is what it is. And then pretty big finish with the final being as memorable as it was.
For me,
yeah.
This is such a lopsided season where it's just the rookies losing over and over and over and over and over, which I think makes it more boring. I think the game format is flawed, which is a problem for me, in that let's just throw it to get all the women gone, which is also not very exciting. It is the vet men just pretty much running the game with no opposition whatsoever, whether it be the rookie team or the vet women standing up almost at all. So for me, and also there's just not enough eliminations. It is sure there are 2 an episode, but we end up still with so many people at the end. That is all detractors for me.
Genuinely, also Coral being here raises it. I know she doesn't get the biggest edit along the way, but there's a couple seasons here that aren't Coral seasons, and this one was a Coral season. I don't know what the exact math is. If we were landing right in the middle, it would probably be somewhere around Challenge 2000. But you're, I guess, pretty firmly saying that you would have it below that.
Yeah,
but somewhere around there, I guess, is where it's going to ultimately land.
Yeah, I can live anywhere below Fresh Meat to below. Honestly, I would have considered even below Battle of the Sexes too. But anywhere in there, I could survive.
What do I think between the Gauntlet 3 and the original Road Rules All Stars? I think I can put it below that if we're trending downwards, but I'd probably have to put it above Battle of the Seasons. There's interesting stuff there for sure. I'm looking back on our notes about it, but I I don't know. I don't want to go too much farther down when I did enjoy the season.
Okay. Yeah, I'll accept it.
Very good. All right. So what does that slot it into? Now it becomes number 9 out of 15 seasons.
There we go.
So decent showing, decent showing. And next up, Mount Rushmore for the season.
Mount Rushmore for the season. Now, there are two big picks that I think of as my potential number ones, but I'm curious to see what like your first thought for who do you think of right away when you think of this season?
It's funny because I always think I know what you're talking about when you say like, oh, there's two obvious picks or whatever, and then it ends up being totally off from whatever I was thinking. I'll say the number one name that stands out to me. Just based on this person having consistent storyline throughout the entire season, they have a big edit. They are number one in confessionals. To me, it's Frank.
That was one of my number ones, so I totally agree. I think Frank deserves the spot here.
Yeah. It's just him and Jillian versus their team, but like really Frank carries so much of that story. Him versus Tori becomes a big deal throughout a lot of it. But like it always goes back to Frank. A lot of the vet stuff always goes back to Frank, that like he's either working with some of those guys or beefing with some of those guys. And it's interesting because he's like not the biggest character that the challenge has ever had to showcase, but
Not
because he goes on, that's what I mean. Because he goes on to be the winner and he goes into like 3 or 4 eliminations. It's just a lot of his story. So yeah, I think he makes sense there.
I totally agree. I mean, it's him. He's trying to cut deals with the vets. He has the relationships with the vets. He's one of the strongest guys on the team. I definitely think Frank deserves a spot.
Who's the second name you're thinking?
So I have 2 different names that I would consider in who I would put next, but for me, I don't think about this season without thinking of Eric.
I had a pretty good feeling you were going to say that, and I can't find myself disagreeing.
Yeah, I think that even though he's much lower on the storyline portion, on the confessionals, Eric is the biggest moment of the season, bar none. When you say the Gauntlet 3, you think Eric going down to the final.
Yeah, so I was talking to Jonathan about this, and we were trying to predict where this was going to go, as we do. And what I was saying was like, I always think back to like the Joes and Blues of the world, because that always is going to be stuck with it. And those were big moments, big things that happened. But the difference being that those were like beginning of the season, and then the season goes on to be so much more, and that's ultimately why they don't land here. The entire story of the Vets team is culminated at the end when they lose, because Big Easy goes down in, like you mentioned, the biggest moment of the season, one of the most memorable finals of all time. And so it's interesting because I remember when we checked in with the confessional count in part 1, part 2, it's like, Big Easy, nowhere to be found. It's just, he's not here. He's not a part of this. And we know what's coming. But once it happens and once he goes down, again, it's a part of the Gauntlet 3 that is Mount Rushmore worthy. It's just, especially when you're looking at a lot of the other names that we're about to talk about and consider, not strong cases for some of them, like there is for Easy.
I was going to say, because like if this was the season that Baloo brought her baby on, I would consider it more, because I don't think it's that strong of a season for so many other people. Like what happens is when Baloo brings her baby, when Joe shows up, I mean, I think I argued for Joe to be on, but I think that it really comes down to like, okay, let's say this was the CT and DM storyline, where like the dual storyline where they ended up on this season, like then I see Eric falling off, because okay, there's like 2 big strong names that you need to put on, and like maybe it doesn't happen for Eric. But I think in the absence of those other names, Eric firmly lands his spot here for me.
Yeah. So again, when I was thinking about it, I was like, is there any way that, first of all, do I want to, push back at all? Or do I think that it makes sense to? And ultimately just came down on no. So yeah, Frank and Eric, just as we always do, 2 guys take up the first 2 spots. Crazy.
First time ever, question mark?
It looks like it is the first time that 2 men have taken up the first 2 spots, locked in for us. I'll go back to you for name number 3, because the rest of my list is not locked in and just options.
I have a bunch of options. We mentioned her already, I guess. What do you think about Jillian?
I think no. I think she just disappears from the edit and from the narrative. She goes in three eliminations early, and then obviously is a part of Frank's story. But I don't see it overall compared to some of the others.
I think she's a big portion of the season. I think that especially the first half, she is just consistently thrown in. She's one of the bigger parts of the rookie team. But I think I'm looking at a different rookie woman over her.
Yeah, definitely considering a different rookie woman. Would that be Tori?
It would be Tori.
Yeah, she's in consideration. I'm definitely not ready to write it down yet. We have to, I need to hear it discussed here. But she starts off really strong in the season with a lot of narrative focus. I feel like she's, here to find, or would she say she wasn't here to find love? And then obviously we get into the brat of it all.
Yep.
Her fighting with Frank is, consistent throughout the season. She's probably the biggest name or the biggest face that they have tell the story of the rookie team on the women's side of the board there. So there is plenty for her, but she also does get a little lost in the back half of the season. There's the point that she almost quits the game, which not that like, I don't know, I'm not like just taking points away for that, but it's like, that's around the same point in the season that I think her edit starts to be like, whatever, like you don't actually have to care about her that much.
I think that her quitting the game almost is like a point where she should be on because she's just drama and stealing more focus. I think it's really only this last quarter of the season that she loses focus. So I would say maybe there, but definitely on my radar. Let me throw another name out there. What do we think about Coral?
Coral, I would love to, but I have to unfortunately feel like it's a no. Before I go further, do you agree or no?
I would be open because I really don't have a set names regardless. So I feel like Coral is someone who doesn't have the most storyline, but I do really think of on when I think of this season in it being Coral versus the Vets, Coral's final season, Coral like quitting the game because people are just deciding that it's past her time. So I do think of Coral when I think of this season.
That's fair. I mean, I wonder obviously how much of that is just from, knowing the legacy of Coral comes to an end here. And so it sticks a lot more in our minds. But as far as like the story of this season, how important it actually ends up being, I wish it was more because I think of like, when she is about to quit, like she's barely on the show up until they're like, oh, by the way, we're trying to get rid of Coral and Katie, and so Coral's about to quit, and then that's it and it's over. Even like the Coral versus Beth elimination, they really did a bad job at like, if they wanted that to be the elimination they wanted it to be, then why didn't they edit it that way? It was just like, oh, Coral's going in and she's pissed, and then we just kind of don't stick on it with her as much. So I don't know. I was a little let down by how that all played out, both in what happened and the edit. I'm open to it, but
because
I
I also
sure.
think there's a lot of confessionals that are about Coral. Like everyone is talking about her constantly,
Sure.
whether that be Casey, DM, Evelyn constantly. Like there's so much discussion of her. Even like the Evan and Coral stuff, I think is super compelling. So I'm interested to hear the other names that you're thinking of also.
I'd like to rule some names out. Just confirm to me that you're good with it's not Danny, right?
No, God no.
No. I mean, he's got some big parts of the season with like him and Melinda, and then the final, like him making that deal, but like he's not at the top. I just want to confirm that you feel the same way. Evelyn is up there. She could be to me at like a 5, 6, or 7, but I don't know that she cracks the top 4. We're really at this point of just like Evelyn is such a strong competitor, and Evelyn versus Coral was big at the beginning of the season. But to me, just at the names that I'm still looking at, I don't think I have her in the top 4.
Evelyn for me right now is low-key kind of a Casey, where like she's really strong, but she doesn't really have any storyline. And so for me, I would never consider Casey for a Mount Rushmore spot. And so I don't really got a lot with Evelyn. She has the storyline with Brooke, obviously. There's a little bit with the Coral, but I would consider Coral for that storyline way before I would consider Evelyn.
Sure. I am also pretty much not considering, or I guess I would just say he's on the lower end of who I'm looking at here. I'm talking about CT.
I have him on my short list. He's definitely someone that is on my radar. I don't think the season focuses on him. He's definitely like ever present in just how many episodes either start or end with CT's drunk and he might fight someone.
Yeah, and that's what keeps him on the radar, I think, for both of us, because we do keep checking in with how drunk CT is and how,
Hmm.
this isn't a good situation. So like, I don't know, maybe that does put him a little bit higher than I guess, like, where do you put CT versus Kenny in a spot here?
It's hard because I have both Evan and Kenny on my list. And I feel like for me, Kenny is a little bit lower than Evan, and I guess probably even a little bit lower than CT. I feel like even though they are kind of two of the figureheads that are running the season, I feel like Evan and Kenny don't have a ton of actual storyline themselves. And so I don't really think of them all that much, even though they're kind of running the season.
I think I could rule out Kenny before ruling out CT. Just again, that we're talking it
I
all
agree.
out. I think that Kenny is there for all the confessionals, all the jokes that they want to throw in for him, but his story here is just not that much. I mean,
I agree.
they try to further his story of like, I'm the only champ here at the end, but it just ultimately doesn't mean anything. So I'm looking at Evan more than Kenny and CT more than Kenny. I do feel like I have an argument for Evan to be on. I feel like Evan is the number one main narrator of the douchey vet men for the majority of the season, that they're discussing how much they want the women gone. Katie and Coral, like the Coral stuff is directly tied in with Evan along the way because
For
of their
sure.
friendship. And Evan is really just pushing this narrative of the women have to go. And when the vets fail at the end, it's because of Easy, but it's also because Evan has crafted this team in such a way that he has told us every step of the way this is what he wants the team to be, and then it fails him. So he stands out to me in that way, that I might be talking myself
Sure.
into wanting him to be there, but still open. So have we narrowed it down to Evan, CT, Tori, and Coral?
That's where I'm at.
Okay. Um, who could be? I mean, two spots. We have to eliminate two. Who do you think is your most eliminatable? I think I know who I would eliminate.
Who would you eliminate?
I think I'd eliminate Tori.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
It's really tough because I don't think I would have said that in episode 1 or 2, but episode 1 and 2
Hmm.
were not the entire season. So her and Brad kind of
Yeah.
fade to the background a little bit, and her feud with Frank, I think, is carried enough through Frank being on the Mount Rushmore. It's a debut. It's a strong start for Tori Hall, but it's not like the Tori Hall season.
I could eliminate CT.
Um, Oh, you really want Coral there.
Yep. You want four men, first of all?
Um, I will say I do not want four men. But I'm just debating. Well, so does that mean, because I would consider, I'm considering, I guess, CT and Coral for that last spot. Are you good with Evan being the third?
I will allow it. I think I came in more thinking CT and Coral, but over Evan, but I hear your argument.
Okay. Then I guess we could do Evan and Coral. I mean, this is kind of funny if it's
I just don't really
some
think of CT when I think of this season. I do think of Coral.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think of CT. It was just like in a maybe like not too dissimilar way from like we checked in with Tori, but she wasn't the big story at the end of the
For
day.
sure.
Not to rhyme. Like we checked in with CT a lot and followed his character throughout the season, but it wasn't like telling his story along the way. Even
100%.
like DM being so irrelevant to the show this season makes it clear that CT wasn't the big story. He was just there.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Evan and Coral getting this redemption here after not making it onto the fresh meat Mount
Ooh.
Rushmore together. And they have this big blowout over their friendship. They really, I guess, highlight the back and forth of the vet team of, the douche guys that wanted the women out, and Coral, who gets is on the wrong end of all of that and goes out with a bang.
I like it.
Okay. I mean, I really didn't see Coral making it on here, but I see the argument. I hear and Coral being highlighted one last time, that she'll ever get a chance to be highlighted.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, I like it. I think that, like I said, when I think of this season, I think I really do think of Frank, Eric, and Coral personally. Like in terms of even before I watched it, like who did I think of? And I think those are three names that really jump to mind. So this makes sense in my brain.
Yeah, Coral for me as well. Obviously not in the best way, just because I'm like, oh, this is the season that Coral's like gonna quit, and
Sure.
we don't get it all. But it's still memorable enough when it
Even
happens. So
how many seasons do I think of Johnny Bananas in the best way? But
I
I still
mean,
think of him
for
for
sure.
seasons.
All right, so Frank, Big Easy, Evan, and Coral, which I do believe, if I look at the stats on the right here, is the first time that we have a Mount Rushmore with 3 men and 1 woman.
Look at that. And I think that makes sense. I think this season is unfortunately very male dominated.
Yes, we've never had the four men Mount Rushmore. We almost did, but we
Yeah,
put Coral in there.
we almost had three men before Casey came back to replace Derek on Fresh Meat.
Right.
So,
All right, let's talk about the all-time Mount Rushmores. What do you think about starting with the women?
I'm down.
Trying to read your mind. Let's start with the women this time.
Okay.
We have Beth, Tanya, Coral, and Veronica. Coral is on this season. She defends her spot up until the very end. We know she's not going anywhere right now. But I guess my question to you is, I think I know the answer to this, but you don't see her going anywhere anytime soon still.
No. For me, this is still, like I've said, the Mount Rushmore is the historical best, not just like what have you done for me lately. And
Yes.
so I think someone's legacy has to overtake Coral, not just be the most relevant to the challenge at that moment in time. And I think Coral has cemented quite the legacy. Even if her final is quitting, I think that's a fun legacy of being petty.
Obviously, yes, I'm with you. I want to revisit just for a second, not the idea of putting this person back on, but just DM who was on the Mount Rushmore at some point. And I know, I know what you think about this spot. But it's just, I want to emphasize one more time with her not being a big part of this season that, while she was her story that she was sharing and just her impact on coming onto the show was as big as it was for Fresh Meat and the Duel. Right now, it I think makes a lot of sense that she's not currently on the list.
I agree. I think that DM is someone who has a huge impact in terms of the legacy of the show, but like almost never was a top 4 name for me. So I'm curious to see how it goes moving forward.
I will say I wish that I could make a compelling argument here for one Katie Doyle to go on, because Katie was back. Katie's in, authentic Katie form, the best form I'd like to see her in. But I kind of drew out a little bit further of like what my 5 to 8 would look like right now, obviously outside of this top 4. And she would firmly be in that, but I couldn't
100%.
convince myself to make the argument for 1 through 4.
I wish that she had a huge season this season, but I just don't think she did. And I think, she re-solidifies her case in that 5 to 8. And I think it's probably not 8, not 7. But I don't think I can reasonably put her on this top 4.
My 5 to 8, in case you were wondering, was
I am wondering.
I have Katie. I put DM there, just given how recently she was there on the regular Mount Rushmore. Julie, and then the next person here, I would probably have at number 8 right now, or somewhere in this 5 through 8. I would have Evelyn.
Okay.
I think she's working her way up. Yeah.
I see it. Do you have anyone in contention for this 4?
That would be where Evelyn comes into play, as far as like she is the one that I think is the closest to fighting for a spot here. And we know that she will certainly be fighting for a spot at some point. But this side of the board is just so competitive that with her being my highest name here that I think could be working a way in, I don't think we're there just yet. But what do you think?
I still think Katie's more important to the franchise than Evelyn is yet. I think that Evelyn is interesting competitively, but has not had a breakout season personality-wise, where it has constantly just been like, and Evelyn's super strong, and that's it for me. So I think that day will come, but I don't think that day is now.
Yeah. So, I mean, spoiler alert or whatever, started with the women because I don't think we're changing anything here.
Completely agree. I am very glad because I was more open to it on the men's side, and so I'm glad that you agreed.
Yeah, I do agree. Well, let's talk about the men's side. Currently sits at the Miz, Darrell, Abram, and Derek. And I think there might have to be a change or two.
Ooh, or 2. Interesting. I have 1 on my radar.
1. Tell me.
So I think even though this was not a standout season for this person, I feel like the legacy has been built up to this point, and I think that for better or for worse, I think CT has finally maybe come into his own.
I agree. It's time. I mean, we're talking about the all-time men's Mount Rushmore. We're talking about, the most the people with the biggest like legacy on the show, and like you said, for better or for worse, it's definitely he is one of the top 4 names at this point that you think of when you think of the first 15 seasons of the challenge, the point that we are at right now. So to me, it's really not a question. It was like, all right, we knew it was coming. We debated it with the duel, and then with the Inferno, he was there for 5 minutes, punches Davis in the face, and it's like, well, now is not the time. Like you said, with this season. And I think the same thing definitely did happen with Veronica, where it's like she wasn't the biggest star of her season. She wasn't on the Mount Rushmore of the season. She joined the all-time women's Mount Rushmore. But I think it's still fair enough to happen here, that we are still following everything with CT, even if there was 4 people with bigger stories than him this season.
You down to take off Abram?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm down. Now, it sounds like you have someone else on the radar.
I do. Should I rip off the Band-Aid?
I guess you can.
I don't know what you are going to say, how you are going to feel, but I do think we need to have the Evan and Kenny discussion.
Okay. It's interesting. I knew this discussion would come at some point. And I think that they are 2 names who are huge in the franchise. I obviously don't disagree with that at all. I think there's a lot of discussion of would we include them at all, but we ultimately landed on there are tons and tons and tons of problematic people through challenge history, and it's kind of difficult to draw the line at any point. So we'll just go ahead and they'll fall off at some point, and that will be what it will be. Now, is this the point that they come on? I feel like for me, it's tough where Kenny is the bigger character. He stands out more as a personality, and I feel like, has been on more seasons. But Evan is the more competitive, the more of a team leader, and I feel like ultimately does get more confessionals, even though he's less of a character. Or less of a personality. So I would probably be looking at Evan, if anyone here, but I still don't know that it's time.
So where my head is at is that I think we are fully in Evan and Kenny mania here. I think that they have really taken over the challenge in a way that no other characters have. And it's funny because today the challenge is going to become Johnny Bananas and CT's challenge, maybe even more so Bananas, who just said, like, the stronger stranglehold on the franchise, and I am the challenge. But right now, obviously that's not the case yet for at least Bananas, but it feels like it really is for Evan and Kenny. And obviously I can't speak to the exact experience of what it was like as this was all happening and, the feeling of the atmosphere around then, but just watching these seasons, it feels like the challenge world revolves around Evan and Kenny. And it's interesting because when you look at the men's Mount Rushmore, you have a weaker field overall than the women's. We've known this. We've talked about this for, as long as we've had the men's Mount Rushmore. So it feels like it's easier to take a spot, if at all. And where I'm looking at it as I just said for Evan and Kenny, it feels like everything is about the 2 of them. Like, we're reunions, we're going to the 2 of them. It's been 4 seasons now since we met them in Fresh Meat, and just every passing season, they are becoming the faces of the show, the faces of the franchise. And to me, when I'm just doing the 1-to-1 comparison, I'll start with Darrell. Yes, Darrell got his 4 wins, but we haven't. I know you're like, we don't want to talk about like what have you done for me lately. We haven't seen Darrell in a couple of seasons, and even when he got his 4th win, we weren't saying, at the time we were like, this is notable. Darrell's on his 4th win. This is important, and compared to Theo Vaughn, let's put Darrell on. But I just feel like if you are looking at the challenge right now, you are certainly looking at like the headlining names. Both of these 2, I think, come up before Darrell comes up. So that's just where I start, that I feel like if nothing else, one of them replaces Darrell.
It's so hard because it's tough. I don't think Miz is getting replaced. We'll start there for me.
I agree.
I don't personally think Derek is getting replaced. Yeah, he's had 1 season off, but for me, I feel like Derek, the underdog, scrappy storyline, I think Derek is here to stay for a little bit for me personally. So I don't see him falling off. I'm looking at Darrell, and it's hard because I still feel like, for me, and especially like growing up, hearing like Darrell, 4 for 4, undefeated. Like he has 4 wins. He's the only person in history. It carried a lot of weight. And so I still feel like the legacy, the impact of that alone, even if not being given the like edit that he should have had by producers, still carried so much that I would have looked at as like, oh my god, Darrell is here more than Evan or Kenny is here at
We
this
just haven't
point.
even heard his name on the show, on the season, in a
Sure.
reunion. Like he hasn't come up since his last appearance. It's just been, he's been MIA.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a tough time with that. I just want to go back to your point though about Derek. I'll just say it. I'm at the point right now where if this was just me, I would put Evan and Kenny on and take off Darrell and Derek. Derek to me, I think just has slotted into a strong number 5, but I think he slotted into a number 5, just where I'm sitting. I feel like what really kills his momentum for me is last season, he finally gets his win and he's barely on the show. And that's not good for his overall legacy. I think he came in super hot. And when he gets on the Mount Rushmore, really quick, all things considered, really emerging as a big character. Like I think it makes plenty of sense for him to have been here and for him to still be here. And in my mind, to be at the number 5 spot, I can't get over the fact that, as I have been pitching, that Evan and Kenny feel like right now they are the challenge more than certainly Darrell and more than we've gotten a highlight of Derek in a while. Like when he has the story with DM on Fresh Meat, it's really a lot of her story that he happens to be there alongside her with. And we've not even considered replacing him up until this point because there's been nobody to replace him. Nobody has had stronger story than him. But like you even think of like the Derek and Jody hookups that were all off camera. It's just like so much of his story has just not existed. And I think that both of these guys, Darrell and Derek, have obviously a super strong legacy. We will never forget Darrell's 4 wins, and we will never, remember or never forget Derek, like the scrappy underdog making his way onto the scene. But just, I can't get over that through right now on the challenge. When I think of where we are in challenge history, I think of CT, Evan, and Kenny all there.
Interesting. I don't know. It still feels early for me, but you feel strongly.
I do. I mean, if we like eased into it, then you were thinking, I think you're more agreeable that Darrell comes off.
Yeah, I think so.
And that Kenny goes on. Is that where you were at?
It's hard. I feel like Evan is still the alpha in this duo. Kenny's been on more seasons. He stands out more as a personality, but I feel like Evan is the one that the show is propping up as their guy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's where it's hard for me because I do feel like there's 2 open spots. And so it wasn't even me like debating which one should get a spot because I feel like both of them can find a spot here. Not to just keep repeating myself, but it's just, when we had like the Miz and Coral that were the stars of the challenge, and we, were looking forward to every season. I'm not looking forward to following Evan and Kenny's story, but like when you show up to a season and it was like, all right, what's going on with these 2? They are the main characters. It just feels like we are at that point where every season that Evan and Kenny are going to be on, we are very heavily meant to be invested in what they have going on. And so, again, the idea of like separating them to figure out who makes more sense, I would be more open to it, but I feel like there's a spot for them both.
See, I don't look at the Derek spot as open as you do. I mean, I don't look at the Darrell spot as open as you do either, but fair enough. I think that for me, I still think their time is coming. I think that they like solidify themselves in challenge history a lot more. I still think they're the new kids on the block, but again, you feel more strongly.
I mean, we've changed our minds in the past before and gone back. So, I mean, I feel like if we do make this change, we can revert back later, especially if, Mel and Chappelle tell us that I'm wrong. But I don't know if my passion is winning the way here, then lock it in.
You want both?
I think so. I mean, do I want it? Let's not phrase it that way. But do I think it makes
you're
sense?
arguing for it.
Do I think it makes sense? I really, unfortunately, I do.
I'm going to allow, and we'll see. I'm curious to hear from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, Very curious to hear from people. I don't know. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I just feel like we're in their era right now. 4 seasons deep. Not that they've both been on all four. Has Kenny been? He's been on maybe 3 of the 4, and Evan has also. I don't know. Let me not fact check myself right now, but that's just how I feel.
Evan's been on 3. I think Kenny's been on 4.
Well, there we have it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Derek is still a pretty firm number 5 and Darrell probably a firm number 6, but I do think that they've been pushed out of their statue spots here. All right. Well, let's see what the feedback we get is. And if we have to make any adjustments retrospectively, then we will. But guess what's up next?
The most popular season of the challenge ever?
I think that's what they call it, right?
Not controversial at all?
The Island?
Oh, I'm interested. I'm not going to lie. Just because it is so hated, I'm very interested to see it again.
I have enough memories of the Island to picture, first of all, the end of the game, but also like the beginning. So I think it's the middle that I need to have pieced together and really remember just what the hell happened out there, because the controversy of it all, also very memorable, but I need to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested to see how this continues. I feel like lots of big characters, lots of big storylines, many for the worse. So I'm very interested.
Next season, it's a 20-person cast, 9 episodes, even one shorter than this time around. Let's talk about who's going to be there real quick. Tanya on our Mount Rushmore is back. Abram just kicked off our Mount Rushmore is back. As is Derek, just kicked off our Mount Rushmore. Derek Kaczynski. We have Robin. Johanna is back after getting her championship. Ryan Kehoe is back after getting kicked off soon before the end. Evelyn and Kenny, Bananas, Paula, Tyree is back. Look at that.
Oh boy.
2 people that are back for the first time since their debut, Coley and Jen. Wow.
2 huge characters.
But a bigger name here. For the first time in 6 seasons, Rachel Robinson is back.
That is crazy. I'm very interested to see what happens with Rachel.
And then a couple of debuts coming here. Let me notably shout out Kohara, Kellyanne, and Dunbar.
I'm very excited. I feel like there's some very fun debuts ahead of us, some very fun storylines. Again, it's such a unique season that it makes me excited.
We also have Dave, Ashley, and Dan Walsh. Dan Walsh is like one of those names that I'm like, I feel like I should remember a little bit more. He's done 2 challenges, but I don't remember, so I'll get there. But
so it's an interesting season for Dan.
Well, we'll get there. But yeah, Kahada, Kellyanne, Dunbar, obviously some big names that are about to make their mark on the show. So that'll be interesting. And I don't know. I don't know if I can't wait or if I don't know. I'm ready.
I'm very ready.
Anything else on the Gauntlet 3 before we get out of here?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, that'll do it for now. I do have one note about the bonus scene, Evelyn missing her visor, and Evan was like, that's where she gets her superpowers. We got to find it. And then she found it. That was funny.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God Evelyn found her visor. All right, then that'll do it for now. We have so much coming up, obviously. So stay tuned with us here on the Free Agents Podcast. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/the Free Agents Podcast for all of our weekly bonus episodes where we're talking all things reality TV. Right now in real time, we're talking some Survivor 50 every week. We're talking Drag Race. We're talking, we just finished wrapping up The Traitors. We are talking House of Villains. So plenty of topics here on the main feed, on the patron feed. Your support in any way, whether it's on Patreon, 5-star ratings and reviews, just downloading and listening to the podcast is all really, really appreciated. Scally, where else should people be looking for you?
Ooh, people can find anything I'm doing on Twitter at Brian_Scally, on Blue Sky at Brian Scally. I don't know. Go check out Letterboxd. Go check out the other stuff.
Check it all out.
Everything
Good
here.
Stuff. Yeah. And then I am on the Diary Room podcast with Amon Adwin, closing out round 1 in real time. So that has happened, and round 2 very soon to come. And we've already recorded some episodes, and oh boy, you guys are in for a treat. So check that out. We're trying to find the best Big Brother player of all time. That's going to do it for now. Let us know what you think of this season of the Gauntlet, of our placement in the rankings, of our Mount Rushmore updates. We genuinely would love to hear from you all. But until next time, take care, and we hope to see you all in the future.